Now let's notice that they can't find nothing with the way he runs politics. Politics are without fault. So they're going to have to turn to the way he worships his God or the way he keeps the law of his God. They're going to have to try to catch him. They're going to have to deceive the king into doing something he don't want to do. We'll find out what. No, only by deliberately setting up human laws that counter the law of God could they make Daniel appear to be corrupt. That is the way it will be in the end times. God's people will be faced with the choice to stay loyal to God's law or pledge allegiance to a nation or kings or political rulers. Question 6. Which one of God's laws do they attack?
Anyone who prays to any god or man shall be thrown into the lion's den.
It has to do with the daily sacrifice, or we might say the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. In other words, the daily. In the old sanctuary service of the portable sanctuary in ancient Israel, they had the daily. Even in Solomon's temple he erected, they had the daily. The one that Nebuchadnezzar pillaged and burned, they had the daily sacrifice that transferred the priest used the blood to transfer the sin to the mercy seat in the most holy place, of which it was cleansed once a year on the Day of Atonement. Anyone who prays to any god or man shall be thrown to the lion's den. So they bring this law to Darius. Note, by appealing to the king's ego, of course, you know, when they walked in, they said, "Hail King, O King, live forever." Gave him that swelled up address, head address. They proposed a law to set up for Daniel. This law tries to substitute true worship of God with false worship of man. Their appearance of solidarity covers their intrigue, and the king doesn't suspect their real motives. As a matter of fact, I got the notion when I was writing that book Apocalypse on this subject that Darius probably was thinking all the time that they were pinpointing the sun cult, and him being a good friend of Daniel and knowing the way he worshipped and knowing the God he served. Probably thought that a good vacation from the sun cult would be real good for the kingdom, so he went ahead and signed this thing. Little did he know that it was going to attack Yahweh, the God of heaven, his law. Question 7. What does Daniel do when he hears of the new law?
3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed just as he had before.
It didn't stop it. He kept on praying just as he always did it. What decree? Ain't going to stop me from praying to my God. I know my God. Daniel 6:10. Go ahead and read the note.
No, Daniel did not change his prayer habits. He could have prayed in a closed room, but that would have been hiding his face. Prayer was the reason for Daniel's great strength in Babylon and Media Persia. If there was ever a time when Daniel needed to pray, it was now. Had Daniel changed his prayer habits under pressure, he would have denied his relationship with God. But to Daniel's obedience to God was more important than life itself. He would not give anyone the opportunity to think that he would not be faithful, that he was not faithful to his God.
Okie dokie. What told the king of Daniel's infraction of the law of the Medes and Persians?
They went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree.
They went in there and said, "Now listen, king, you've signed a decree that cannot be changed according to the laws of the Medes and Persians. You put your own signet, your own seal on this thing, your own presidential seal." That's, believe me, there's a deep meaning to that. There's a big old story behind this that can be applied to the law of God itself. Okay, the law of the Mede and Persian cannot be changed once he signed that with his own signet, which is signet and seal. It probably read something like this. Of course it did. Darius, king of the Medes and Persians. Okay, he was overseeing both while Cyrus was on his military campaigns. Okay, his title, he's the king over Babylon. His name, Darius. Territory which he reigned. That kingdom was over the entire peoples of the earth at that time. So their kingdom ruled the earth. They resided over the earth. Therefore, that's what the seal of Darius on that document, that's why it made it legal. It couldn't be changed. Note, God has a seal in his law. It says the same. Note, They were so eager to get rid of Daniel that they trusted no one but themselves to tell the king. Knowing what the king thought of Daniel, they came as a group, hoping that their numbers would be a coercive factor in the king's decision. Question 9. What was the king's reaction?
When the king heard this, he was greatly distressed.
Oh man, he said, they deceived me and they're hurting the very person I'm getting ready to make top dog over the kingdom. Daniel 6:14. Go ahead.
No, the king was mortified to discover how he had been manipulated by these men. The power of the kingship has been used against him. Question 10. What did the king try to do? He was determined to rescue Daniel and made very effort until sundown to save him. Daniel 6:14. Now, the king spent the rest of the day trying everything he could think of to get Daniel off, but he could not find no way. It was a no-win situation. If he pardons Daniel, he undermines his power. If he loses Daniel, he loses the only man he knows he can trust. Perhaps by postponing the problem indefinitely, it will cease to become an issue.
Yeah. Question 11.
But would Daniel's accusers let this slide? Remember, O king, that according to the law, no decree or edict that the king issued can be changed.
Yeah, that's right. Daniel's accusers ain't gonna let that slide. 6 and 15. The men returned to make sure the king enforces the law. They had too much at stake to let this go. Question 12.
What order did the king give? The king gave the order, and they brought Daniel and threw him in the lion's den. Daniel 6:16.
They threw him in there. Note, the king has no choice. He must throw Daniel to the lions. Question 13. Although Darius had been coerced into throwing Daniel in the den, what remarkable statement did he make? Daniel 6:16.
May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you.
He says that more than once. Notice the word continually. Shall the God you serve continually rescue you? He was confident of it. No, even Darius knew the secret of Daniel's success. He knows that Daniel served his God continually. It didn't matter what he signed. He knew that the secret of Daniel's success was his relationship with the supreme deity. Question 14. Who sealed the stone over the mouth of the den?
The king and the nobles.
And they all put their signets on it. There's another seal that nobody could prematurely crack the seal to the cave and rescue Daniel out there prematurely. He had to stay in there for a good long while till morning. Daniel 6:17. Note, the king learned fast. He knew he could not trust the nobles, as he made each of them seal the stone with him. That way, none of them could do anything for or against Daniel. It also signified that each one of them was responsible for Daniel being put into the den. Darius is a pretty wise fellow. Question 15.
How does the king spend the night? Daniel 6:18. He spent the night without eating and without any entertainment, and he could not sleep.
There you go. He spent the night with no sleep, wine, women, or song. He fasted all night. No, Darius could not sleep that night. He was very worried about Daniel. My Bible tells me he don't eat either. And he don't bring in no servants or no singing, and there ain't no rock concert going on. Question 16. When does the king go to check on Daniel?
At the first light of dawn.
Ooh, man, right when that ray's starting to crack. Right when you start to see anything at all, he's up ready to go. Daniel 6:19. First light of dawn. Question 17. Who did the king recognize as Daniel's only hope?
Has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?
And let me make that a little more dramatic. They're not doing it too good here. Daniel 6:20. The king starts to approach at a distance and he hollers with a loud voice, the Bible says, "O Daniel, has Yahweh Elohim, whom you serve continually, rescued you from the mouth of the lion?" Note, only God could save Daniel from